Okay, thank you guys for tuning in. Today we have a special guest, Jordan Lee, aka Ace the Kid. He's a phenomenal young trader. We've had him on a couple spaces here on Twitter, and I'll give him the floor here in a bit to introduce himself. But super excited to have him on board. I know a lot of you guys have been requesting us to interview him. So, Jordan, without further ado, thank you for joining. Maybe give the guys about a 30-second introduction about yourself and who you are.
Yeah, my name is Jordan. I'm 20 years old out of Southern California. Basically started trading during the midst of COVID. So that's when my whole journey for trading started. And yeah, we've been going for about 3 years now. We started Spaces in November and I'm loving it, man. It's amazing.
Right on. So, starting over COVID, where did you get started with? Was it primarily stocks? Did you get into options? How did that
Yeah,
kind of
so
work?
when I first started, I didn't even know options existed.
Yeah.
I just started like buying shares of companies I liked and kind of figuring out trading. I made a little bit of money at first, but I didn't really understand what I was doing, of course. And then I realized like I could be actively day trading and like I see all these guys making a lot of money. I was like, okay, I could be doing that too. So I started paper trading because I didn't have enough capital to actually be day trading stocks every day. So I just paper traded for a long time. And then it's funny enough, my parents own a gym. Most of my viewers, like they know my parents own a gym. And so they have a lot of wealthy clientele. And I got to know one of them really well. And he became one of my good friends. And he actually lent me like $25,000 to be able to trade and trade
Nice.
stocks. I still didn't know about options, didn't even know they existed.
Yeah.
And so I got that money and I lost pretty much all of it on Tesla after a while. But over time, I built things back up and I got into options and really like got professional about it. And yeah, things have been taking off now.
Cool. So, like right now, are you full-time trading? Do you do anything else for work, or what's kind of that,
Yeah,
philosophy?
so I recently just quit like all my 9 to 5 regular jobs.
Nice.
I don't just do trading. I run some other businesses and I do some
Yeah.
other things on the side, but trading's like the main thing for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. So, over the time, a year, 3 years or so trading, what was kind of the consistency switch? Like, was there certain things that you just really had to instill, or was that right off the hop, or what was kind of that whole transition from the
It
learning phase?
definitely it definitely wasn't like a light switch moment where it just
Yeah.
kind of happened. You know what I mean? It took a lot of time and dedication of me, doing this over and over every day. So it was kind of a slow transition into being a profitable trader, right? I had to start doing things that a profitable trader does, right? That a disciplined person does. It's more about discipline than just being profitable, right?
Yeah.
It's more about being a disciplined person all around. And I learned that very early on that, okay, if I want to be disciplined in my trading, I need to be disciplined in every other thing in my life, right? So over time, I kind of learned that and put all that together. But about a year and a half through, about 2 years through, I was able to get profitable and get going.
Nice. So in terms of like your strategy with that, are you primarily long or short, or how did you even morph into finding that? Like, I guess guide people through your 3 years of what's kind of your bread and butter for trading, and maybe did things change over those years too, for you?
Yeah, things changed a lot. I went from, indicator to indicator and
Yeah.
strategy here to strategy there and just trying to figure out my groove, right? Um, for a while on the spaces and yeah, just for a while on the spaces, I was playing supply and demand, just super simple, just regular supply and demand every day. But lately I've gotten into using hedge pressure with Rocket Scooter. And so that's my main bread and butter now. It basically just spits me out a level every morning. And like to make it easy, that's the most important level for my style of the day.
Yeah.
And I'm able to make all my trades off of that and just makes everything super simple.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I guess I'd like to say I'm more of a like a liquidity spot trader. I don't really know how to explain it with the hedge pressure. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's a
I just
cool
call it
take on
hedge
that.
pressure.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess, do you have any content on that, or where guys could even learn more about that from you, or?
I haven't released any content personally on the
Yeah.
hedge pressure. I'm gonna be doing that on my YouTube. So I'll
Cool.
throw that up on my YouTube soon for sure.
Cool. Right on. Right on. I guess in terms of that too, like what are you mainly trading? Like, is it the indices? Are you looking at individual name sectors, or what's kind of your makeup on that?
Yeah, so every morning I just get the hedge pressure for SPY and
Yeah.
QQQ, and I make my decisions off that. Of course, I'll check out individual names and I'll trade individual names sometimes as well, but
Yeah.
for the most part, my bread and butter is SPY.
Yeah.
Even though Sometimes it gets choppy, and sometimes it's not that great. I generally make my moves, the first hour and a half of the market being open, where that volatility is there regardless, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not too
Nice.
worried about getting caught in chop a spy, because I'm usually in and out of positions so quickly and early
Yeah.
in the morning that it doesn't really matter.
And are you going long and short on the market, or are you?
Yeah. Lately, I'm not gonna lie. Like I don't think I've bought puts or actually made money on puts in over a month now, at least.
Yeah.
It hasn't been the market for it,
Yeah.
and every morning I'm waking up and the rocket scooter the rocket scooter is telling me certain things, and I'm like, I don't want to short. I'm scared to short in this market, to be
Yeah.
completely honest. So,
I think that's a good point though, because a lot of guys they get so hung up on trying to be one-sided, and
yep.
I've never seen anyone successfully do that, at least to the point of trading that every single day, right?
Yeah, I definitely think, intraday kind of pick your poison for
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
but be able to flip your bias and adapt with the market,
Right.
right? Because it can be tough sometimes, and if you're just stuck on one bias all day, and I mean, you've seen it. We've seen people destroy accounts, right? It can really be detrimental. So
Yeah.
got to be adaptable for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And even if you do see like a short or a long on the day where it isn't supposed to be a long or short, like you're fighting over marginal pips at that point. So I mean, is it really
Exactly.
even right to be on that side? I mean,
Yeah.
everyone's got their own strategy. I just found that was always better to be, like you said, mindful at the open, long or short, have your kind of go-to strategy for going on open like
100%.
that.
And personally, like when I was playing with the supply and demand strategy, it was a great strategy for sure.
Yeah.
I did good with it. But for the most part, I found myself fighting that trend, right? Because you're trying to catch the initial reaction out of that supply zone while it's in an uptrend, or vice
Yeah.
versa.
Yeah.
Right. So I definitely found myself trying to pinpoint those pivot spots,
Yeah.
which is a good thing, but you don't want to be fighting the trend, right? So that's why I'm liking what I'm doing more now with the hedge pressure and really finding where the liquidity is
Yeah.
in the market, because every day I'm positioning myself with the market instead. And I've had people, Spaces viewers come and tell me, hey, we've noticed your trading's like a lot better. And it's just like, it's awesome, right? Because it's actually noticeable to people that this is working for me now. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
super stoked.
I got a question in terms of like the emotional side of things or like mistakes. Was that something you ever struggled with, or what was your, learning curve with that?
Yeah, 100%. I struggle with that very badly, especially I feel like just I don't think the age plays into it too much. I think no matter who you are,
Yeah.
when you get into trading, even for me, it wasn't the sense of losing money as much. Of course, losing money sucks. We all hate that. But for me, it was the fact that I started and I'm just wrong over and over again. And a lot of people can't accept the fact that you're just going to be wrong a lot of the time, especially
Yeah.
in the beginning, right? So
Yeah.
I struggle with that heavily. What helped me a lot was, again, building discipline, right? That's the whole name of the game here, right? Is respecting your stop loss, getting out when you need to be. And that all comes with discipline, right? And so building discipline in other areas of your life will help you build discipline within trading. And so yeah, it's not easy. It's not like, it's easy for us to say, of course, and just hit your stop loss, right? Get out there or whatever, but it's not easy to do, and it's something you definitely have to work up to and take time to progress on. It's not an easy thing to do. So
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is probably just like dropping the ego and accepting it. Cause like when I blew up my first two accounts, even it was 100% because of the fact that I didn't want to admit that I sucked at certain, mistakes, for instance, like FOMO trading or like revenge trading, right? Those are all things that you can easily eliminate. But if you're not willing to accept it, I mean, no matter how much you say at the end of the day, oh, I just won't do that tomorrow, like you're still going to do it if you don't sit down and actually dissect that and understand why that is actually occurring. So that's a good point there. And in terms of journaling, like I'm sure you're pretty well above that now, but did you journal a lot when you're starting out? What was kind of your whole routine like, or even for tracking and
yeah,
seeing where you're at?
journaling, I've always been I've always liked to actually write out my journals. So I have a book that I journal in all the time. Generally, like lately, I've been traveling like back and forth LA to the boat and stuff. I haven't even been writing in my journal, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's nice. My brokerage kind of tracks it. I use TraderSync, of course. That helps me track everything. So everything's still getting tracked. Definitely, going back into your journal, that's where you're going to find where you go wrong in every single trade. So tracking that information, whether you do it, on a piece of paper or, you know, use a platform that tracks your trades, it's a must. Like, it's not just, oh, I might, maybe I should do it. No, you have to do it if you want to be profitable, in my opinion, because you're going to find out and pinpoint exactly, okay, this is where I went wrong. On Thursdays, I've been red for a month straight every Thursday. Let's not trade Thursdays, right? Like, you get to figure out exactly what's going wrong within your trading, and your trading is your business, right? If you want it to be, you can treat it as a gamble if you want in a casino, but most people want this to be a business for themselves, right? And you have to treat it that way, right?
Yeah.
If you're running a restaurant, right, and you're figuring out, okay, you have to be looking at, okay, people like this dish, people don't like this dish, we need to stop selling this, selling more of this. You know what I mean? You're always tracking what's going on within your business. And I think a lot of people just kind of throw that out the window when they start trading, and it makes no sense. We have to be tracking that information for sure.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think some people, they may get overwhelmed just thinking about, having to do with this every day or for the rest of their life. I would even just say, like, break it up to like a 1 month sprint or like a 2 month sprint. Like, if you're struggling with your trading, that's the 100% the time to be journaling. I know every single one of the top traders that I work with, like, they're obviously not journaling every single day, like a new guy would. But that's because you want to get your trading to a point where you're as robotic as possible, where you know your stats without even going in and checking your show. If you don't know those stats right off the top of your head right now, then that's where you have to get to that point. And that's where, like I said, it doesn't have to be a whole 5 year thing. For a lot of guys, it even like within 2 weeks of them, or even just a weekend, that's what it all took for me, was sitting down and going through 500 trades over 2 days. That completely opened up my eyes on why I blew up my first two accounts. I mean, it just comes down to, I guess, how bad you want it. But at the end of the day, also understanding, okay, this is where I'm at. And as long as you know where you are moving forward, or strengths or weaknesses, then yeah, you can kind of make it as you wish for at least for how often you should journal.
100%.
In terms of the Twitter spaces, how has that been? I know I haven't done it as much lately, but kind of want to get your feedback on that. Have they been fine? What kind of the best ones you've been on and stuff like that. But yeah, I know, because you've been really active on those.
Yeah, it's been amazing, man. We've been doing it since November of last year, 2022. So it started out kind of just like we hopped on live one day, and we were hopping on with a bunch of other speakers. Like, we just knew people on Twitter, and it just blew up out of nowhere. People were loving, us just talking about the live market every day, talking about, positions and stuff and what we're seeing every day. So it just blew up, and I just said, oh, I have to keep doing this every day because people are loving this. And I love to do it too. You know what I mean? I love the fact that we're helping some people out, learn the market, learn their kind of pathway to take on this journey, and we're all having fun together, making money. It's just a great time. So I'm loving it. And they keep getting better and better. We keep bringing awesome speakers on every single day, and I'm hopping in Wolf space all the time as well. So get to collab with other creators as well in the Twitter industry. It's an awesome time. I love it.
Nice. That's awesome. I guess well, maybe be the last question, but one thing for newer guys, because we do get a ton of people that are brand new to trading that don't either have a mentor or they're just trying to do it on their own. Any kind of tips you could say from going back 3 years and now, what you would say to a guy that's just starting out?
I would say spend a lot of time watching the live market. Don't even trade it. It's not needed. Don't even trade it. Spend time watching the live market with no emotions with positions, right? Because when you're taking positions, there's emotions there, especially in the beginning. So just watch the live market for what it is. Don't take positions, or maybe pick a day out of the week that you don't take any positions and you just watch the market, right? And another tip I would say is, most people that are starting out, they're starting out with a smaller account, probably around $1,000, right? You're going to see a lot of people on Twitter, on Instagram, on all this social media making a lot of money. Don't let that screw you up, because that stuff will get in the way of you trying to make your own grind. And you'll see some guy make $1,000 in a day and you'll think, oh, I should be making that. But no, you have $1,000 account, right? So take those base hits, take the small wins, especially when you're building a small account. $20, $30, $40 on $1,000 account is good money. You have to realize that, right? And once you do that on a daily basis, you do that for a month straight, that's gonna turn into $100 a day, and then it's gonna turn into $300 a day. And you have to always be adding zeros and adding commas to your positions, right? Like that. So just compound those gains in the beginning, even if they're small, because it does add up quick. I mean, we've watched Whale Stream on the spaces, if you guys have been tuning in. he's grown an account. I think it was from $8,000. It's sitting at $40,000 right now, guys. And he's just been on Spaces. I think it's taken him 3 weeks or so. He's been on Spaces every day, just taking those base hits, managing his risk accordingly, right? I think he risks 20% of his account on every trade or something. And he takes, he takes 40% on a trade every time or whatever, something like that. But he's consistent with what he does, right? With whatever risk management he picked or with whatever strategy he picked, he was consistent with it and stuck with that. So yeah, that's another thing. Whatever strategies you're trying, stick with it for a little while. You're not going to know if it works after a week. Like spend some time on it. You know what I mean? You need to figure out if it actually works for you or not. So I think those are the best tips I could give. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think I've seen a lot of guys blow up from just scaling way too quick, like get into options. They maybe had a good hot month or 2 months, and then I don't hear from them for like 6 months. And when I finally talk to them, it's because they get way too over leveraged on one option trade, and it ends up wiping out. Might not even be their whole account, but you can imagine, grinding for an entire month and wiping out even half of that, how detrimental that is to like your trading psychology. So I definitely agree with the base hit side of things. And my rule of thumb, even when I was trading, was to at least scale it by 25 to 50% of my position sizing every 6 weeks. So if I had 6 weeks, I hit all my green ratio, which I think was at least 75% of those 6 weeks green, then I could increase it by 25 to 50%, depending on how I was really feeling then. But I've really noticed that if I ever doubled my position sizing right up to 100%, I would just have way too much emotional attachment. I don't know if that was just me, but I noticed a lot of other traders said that too. So just kind of making an increment where it's not a double on your screen. It just is incremental. You don't even notice it. I found that was really
if you get in a position and SPY drops, a little bit down, test your EMAs or whatever, and you're freaking out, you're in too heavy. Like take it slow, especially in the beginning. Take it slow, 1-2 contracts. Like you don't need to go crazy because we all know that 1-2 contracts can make you a lot of money if you catch a great move, right? So don't just take it slow because these option contracts that we all trade, especially if you're trying to trade SPY, they're very volatile. They're very crazy. So don't underestimate them for sure.
Awesome. I appreciate it, Jordan. I'm sure we'll be hopping on a couple of spaces with you, maybe do some other events and stuff in the summer. But thank you for tuning in here, and I wish you the rest of the week here. Good trading.
Sounds good, brother. You too. Have a great one.
Thanks. Take care.